Hey guys, so yet again trying to cut down time on videos because I know y'all get bored easily with me. I'm going to show you some pictures, but this is our veggies and I've got chicken and steak kind of spread out all over this pan. They're starting to brown, they're not done yet, but you can see how they're sliced. I've got some tomatoes, I've got some zucchini here, some mushrooms, some jalapenos, onions, bell peppers, and I'm just kind of letting that all broil and roast together, and I'm going to throw that back in. When I put that in the oven, I put corn. You can put it directly from like the store, how it comes. That is wicked hot, guys. So you can leave it just like this and stick it in there, or you can wrap it in foil. Mine are going to eat it later, so I'm keeping it in foil so they stay nice and hot. I've got it set on broil, or you can turn it up to like 500, whatever your oven does. Most of them have a broil feature, so you'll want to do that. I've got a lot of stuff already started because I know it takes way too long for me to show you how to cut everything, but most of you guys know this. This is the beginnings of our pico de gallo. So I have got some onions that are diced very fine, and a jalapeno that's about small diced. And so I'm just gonna mix those in. And I like more onions than I do anything else. You might like more tomatoes. That's a judgment call for you. So those are mixed in. The tomatoes are the same way. They're a small dice and they're seeded. What that means is I took the seeds out of them so you don't have all the juicy guts, because then it gets kind of gross. And I'll show you how to do that. And so I'm just gonna pour my tomatoes right on in. I'm gonna throw that in the sink. And I'm gonna throw that right on in, and I'm just gonna give this a nice quick stir. And then I have some cilantro here. I took the biggest part of the stem down at the bottom off, but you don't really have to. So I've got that. That's going to go in my scrap pile over there. Some of them are longer. You don't have to de-stem everything like how you did with the rosemary. You're actually just going to dice every bit of that right on up. I'm going to show you what I meant by seeding a tomato. You're going to cut them in half. These are pretty small. So you're just going to take a spoon and you're going to kind of slide it all the way around. And you're going to pop those guts right on out of there, because you don't want all of that when you're making salsa or anything like that, because it gives it a really weird consistency. So you just kind of scoop and scrape those right out. Now if you're like blending salsa, you want the extra liquid, but for this I do not. So I'm going to cup those back together just so I can make some quick and easy cuts. This knife is not as sharp as I want it to be, but tomato skins are really hard to cut through because they're tough, because they're skin. So we're gonna do that, and I'm just gonna small dice, go straight across. Try to keep the claw method because I don't want you to lose your fingers. You can always use the palm of your hand to go across your knife if that's a little easier. I'm just gonna throw those in there too. Grab my little towel, and then we're just gonna dice and chop this cilantro. I'm gonna actually fold it back to where I've got a big old bunch and I can pinch it and hold it together. And then you're gonna want to use your claw method, and you're gonna want to go straight in and just chop away. And you can hear the stems, and that's okay. Some of the stems are still really big and you can look through them and pull them out. But for the most part, you're just gonna wanna dice those right on up. They're just not gonna hurt a thing. I'm just gonna kind of go back across it, bring it back in a couple times, and just fine chop your spices here. The stems actually have more flavor in cilantro than the actual leaves do. So you wanna just kind of chop those right in with it. A lot of spices and herbs you can do that with. Some of them though have more of a twig or stick based stem, those are not tasty. So I'm just gonna fine chop that right on up. It doesn't have to be uniform. You're gonna use it to mix in. I'm gonna save about this much of mine, and the rest of this is going straight into this pico. All right. So now with that, I'm going to take the juice of a whole lime. It may take 2, and you're gonna stab it with a fork, and then you're just gonna twist. I don't know if Elizabeth can show you guys that or not. I'll try to do it upside down so you can see. You're gonna stab, and you're gonna twist, and you're gonna do that upside down, and then that way you see all that juice that you're getting, and you're just gonna push until you get all of that juice out of that lime. And you can use the back of the fork and just kind of squeeze that right on in. And so there's one. These are pretty juicy limes, they're not dry, so one is probably going to be enough for this one. I love the way lime smells. All right, and then you're going to want to add, trying to make sure my hand's good and dry, some salt. You're going to add about half a teaspoon. So about half a teaspoon, and just throw that right on in there. You can add fresh garlic to this if you would like, or you can give it a quick shake of powdered garlic. I'm just gonna do a quick little shake. That's probably about 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic and a little bit of pepper. And then you're just gonna mix that all back up. And you can put this on top of your tacos. You can put this on a chip and eat it like salsa, which is my favorite way to eat it. You can use it as garnish. You can do whatever you would like with this, but pretty much it's just a fresh salsa. And there is fresh pico de gallo. You can add avocado to it if you want. You'll want to small dice it. You'll cut it in half, take your seed out, and then you'll run your spoon all the way around the shell, and then you'll be able to have a whole piece of avocado, and you can just make your dices across with that, and you can toss it right on in there too, or you can slice an avocado and have it on the side, whatever you want to do. My dog's going nuts right now. So in the oven, I've got that corn and these fajitas. Gotta go over and giving them a quick shake. You want to make sure you're shaking them about every 5-6 minutes or so, especially with the broiler on, if you're using the top broiler, just because they'll start to brown very quickly. While that's finishing up, because it won't take much longer, it's going to take about 20 minutes for this to do. I started it a little before Elizabeth started the video. I've got about half a cup or so of sour cream. You can use crema or you can use sour cream. Most of us have sour cream at home. Shut up! I told you guys you can use a mixture of spices, or I'm perfectly okay with you guys using, let me see if I have one. I think I have one. I don't know if I do or not. You can use one of these guys if you want to. Just save part of it, because you're going to want to sprinkle your vegetables and your meat, or if you're using a meat substitute like chickpeas or black beans, you'll want to do it and save part of this so you can use it for your corn and for your Southwest crema. If you're using regular spices, if you're not using a packet, I used cumin, and I'm going to put a dash of cumin in here. I used a little bit of Creole spice, which is totally optional because you don't really need it. Essentially, it's salt, pepper, and garlic. And it's got a little bit of crushed red pepper in it. I'm going to add a little chipotle. Chipotle is really hot, so you don't want a whole bunch of it. And I've also got a little bit of ancho chili. I buy little packets of stuff because I don't use a lot of them. But you don't, most of this stuff is already in these packets that are pre-done, and they're a lot cheaper than buying a whole bunch of spices. So you can get the fajita, you can get the taco, you can get any of those. I'm gonna cut another lime because I want my sour cream to be pretty, like almost not really watery, but I want it to be thinned out. So I'm gonna squeeze this into this sour cream. And I'm pretty sure about half a lime is gonna be enough for that. I'm making a big old mess, guys. And you're just gonna stir that right in to your sour cream until the liquids are blended together. And you're gonna want it to where it's pretty thin down to where you can easily drizzle it or pour it. If a half a lime doesn't do it, then you can add some water to it. And you can add more spice to this. Taste it. Just stick your finger in it, whatever. Taste it until it gets to where you want it to be. As in, like, I am definitely gonna add some more cumin to it. Because cumin is one of my favorite things ever. I'm probably gonna add a little more of the ancho chili because it's nice and smoky without being as hot as chipotle. And I'm gonna throw, make sure I get my spices back where they go, just a little more of this. But like I said, salt, pepper, garlic, paprika is about all that actually is. And then I'm just gonna blend that right back in. So you can use this for your tacos. You can use it on your corn. You can use it on just about anything. I'm gonna fold in just a little bit of cilantro because I like cilantro on everything. So you're just gonna throw some of that in there too. Maybe just a little more. And that is what I want. That's pretty tasty stuff. So I'm gonna leave my mess. I'm gonna check on these fajitas. They should almost be done. You're gonna save that other half of a lime because you're gonna actually pour that or squeeze that all over the fajita mixture once it's done. I'll talk a little more about this. All I did was slice up all of my veggies and my meats, and I tossed them in a small drizzle of oil, and then I used the same seasonings that I did in the crema there. And these are actually beef tips that were still kind of frozen, so it's not very pretty, but they're getting there. And our corn's getting nice and hot. I can start to smell it. It's almost done. I'm gonna cut this video and then I'll pick back up when those are done and we'll plate everything together.